Welcome to Big Blend Radio, where we celebrate variety and how it adds spice to quality of life.
Our lives are increasingly on the internet. And the way that these companies are abusing us is messed up. We have to change the trajectory.
Okay, that's probably the bravest I've been around bugs in years.
Vitalik Buterin. He's the engineer recognized as the inventor of Ethereum.
The blockchain movement's biggest celebrity
has become something like the philosopher king of crypto.
Oh God, why are people listening to me? I'm just a guy.
Vitalik has been on a global campaign.
Ethereum has the potential to disrupt the giants of the tech world.
It could be used to build this new internet.
They're saying this is the way the internet was meant to be, because no one person can control it.
We're building infrastructure that the whole world can enjoy. This internet garden.
Technologies very rarely stay the same as they are envisioned by their creators.
It's just batshit crazy out here. They want the fucking janitor to be at the same level as the person at the top.
Not everyone in the crypto space is in it for the ideals. A lot of people really do just want to make lots of money.
Currently, Ethereum uses something like the energy consumption of Argentina.
Financial incentive is like a fire. You can use it to keep yourself warm, or you can use it to burn your house down.
I think anyone who thinks they understand exactly where it's all going, they're lying to you or lying to themselves.
This is an important set of upgrades that fundamentally improves what Ethereum can do.
People seeking a deeper kind of democracy in this digital space. We need to be involved.
There are some things that are worth making a stance over.
Food, medicine. Thank you.
It's this next evolution of coordination for humanity.
There are hundreds of thousands of people across the world that are building things.
We're seeing the resurgence of idealist dreams in the cyberpunk world in the 1990s. There is no off switch. You've created life.
Everyone, welcome to Big Blend Radio. Today we're very excited to talk about a brand new documentary that you're going to want to watch. It's very timely. It is called Vitalik, an Ethereum Story. It is a feature documentary out today, April 15th through Gravitas Ventures. And we have the directors, Zach Ingrasci and Chris Temple on the show. So welcome, Zach. How are you?
Thanks for having us. We're doing well.
Hey, Chris, how are you doing?
Yeah, very excited to have the film releasing globally.
Yeah, this is exciting. So this is going to be out everywhere on video on demand for folks. But this is such an interesting story because, when you look at what an amazing human Vitalik is, and just his amazing brain, but he seems to have so much compassion. When you look at startups in the tech world, a lot of times it's really about money, and it tends to lead towards the greed side. But with Ethereum, he really, really tried, along with the people he worked with, to not let it go there, right? So is that part of, this doing this film was to show that side for you guys when you did this?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting, 3 years making this film, because Chris and I, we don't come from like a technology or crypto background. We really make documentaries about real people and their journeys. And Vitalik's story is really interesting. The film follows Vitalik Buterin, who at just 19 years old invented Ethereum, this incredibly powerful technology that's at the heart of this $1 trillion crypto industry. And we follow this journey of him being from like this quiet, brilliant teenager, kind of naive, to becoming the somewhat reluctant leader of a global movement. And as you can imagine, that's quite the journey. And at the core of the film, I think we're asking this, this question about the roles of technologies playing, how they shape society and culture, and how much of that is influenced by the people who create them. And like you said, Vitalik's values really have a lot of influence, especially on this community building this technology called Ethereum.
And it's interesting too, Chris. He travels the country and the world. He's a nomad like we are here on Big Blend Radio. We travel full time, and I feel like that's part of our life as we start to really understand what's happening in communities across the country, which right now is really quite fascinating because we actually almost like live in them. For every few weeks we're somewhere else. And when I was watching this, number one, I want to just tell you guys, for those who don't understand crypto and what an NFT is and everything, you got me understanding. Like I knew what it was, but then I really realized I didn't quite get it. So for those who may be kind of, oh, it's a crypto thing, an NFT, our brains shut down on stuff that we don't really want to understand. You bridged that gap completely. And so I think that was so well done. And I think even Vitalik, he explains it in a way that you go, wow, we're all connected around the world. But Chris, did you see when you were making this that he was actually putting real life into what is this crypto? It's beyond the internet. It's about networking. I think it's from his travels when you say that he connects with all these people and places that really shapes who he is and what his drive is.
Yeah, I mean, he's fascinating. He's a digital nomad. He lives out of just one 40-liter backpack, yet, was one of the first crypto billionaires, one of the youngest in the world. And, that polarity was fascinating to us to experience with him, and made making the film actually quite an endeavor, where we filmed in so many countries around the world, just trying to keep up with him over 2 years of production, traveling around Montenegro and Vietnam and all around South and Central America. So it was, it was a really, I think the lens of understanding crypto through him, it was our real hope, right? And I think you don't need to go into this film knowing anything about crypto or even leave it. We don't really care how much you learn about crypto after you leave the film. We want you to understand this person, this technology leader, and use that as a framework and kind of a case study for understanding, how we navigate new technology like crypto or AI as we move forward, because these technologies are shifting constantly. They're very difficult to understand. And these big personalities who are shaping it, whether that's, Vitalik on one hand of the quieter, quirkier leader, or the Elon Musks that we've come to know and expect in the technology world, they're having very big influences on these technologies and coding their values into it.
Well, their influences are very interesting too, because there was how much electricity are they taking, which is hard to even understand until you watch this film, quite frankly. You're like, what do you mean? It's taking so much electricity, but then him and his team work to fix it, going, oh, is this going to be a business, a nonprofit, the influence, and then the negative stuff that comes with it, the attacks, people wanting him to take him down. And then, because he's gone through everything, success and failure, and then even getting involved with what's happening in Ukraine. And obviously with his family history of being in Russia as a child and understanding what it's like when suddenly, a dictator is taking over your world. I think this is very relevant right now watching this. And yesterday, as we're recording this, a little bit earlier than April 15th as this airs, I know Ethereum just lost, 10% of their shares. Boom, yesterday. So it's kind of this interesting cycle I think it's going to go through. Zach, do you see that cycle happening where it's going to go up and down all around until we all figure out how to make this work?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Anything that involves markets goes through these cycles, and it really affects, at the core of this technology of Ethereum is money, right? Is crypto money. And you see in the film how those cycles really affect the community that's trying to create something that's more than just speculation. Like that's Vitalik's goal, right? Is how do we create a technology? And he's really a technological, optimist, you could say. Like he believes technology can make our lives better. And, it was quite the adventure filming with Vitalik. He would call us up and be like, okay, meet me in Ukraine. And we went from,
Wow.
bomb bunkers in Ukraine, to chess matches with his dad in Toronto. So we really traveled the whole world. And I think, the Ukraine moment of basically what happened was, in the first days of the Ukraine war, people were able to donate hundreds of millions of dollars, over $100 million, to support the war effort in Ukraine to push back Russia. And Vitalik really saw that as a really powerful proof that there was real value, positive value that crypto could provide in the world. And at the same time, North Korea has hacked over $6 billion at this point from crypto. And so there are real world consequences that are negative. And Vitalik's wrestling with these two realities of this invention that he created and kind of this bigger industry that really his invention sparked. And so you get to experience that in this film. And I hope you get to watch it, because this
Oh my God. You got everyone watch it. It is like, it's understanding what open source is, right?
Yeah.
And this is like the Lord of the Flies. Like watching it, it really is.
You're hitting upon something that's so true that like makes his situation even more challenging, is that, when we think about technology leaders, oftentimes you think about a centralized leader like a Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook who can just decide and make decisions and control the future of that organization. Ethereum isn't set up like that. Part of Vitalik's value system is to have this as a decentralized structure where he isn't the one making these final decisions. So it's a lot of consensus. It's a lot of conversation and debate. And that is a really, really messy process to try to move forward a decision like, the energy upgrade that you mentioned earlier, where he wanted to make Ethereum over 99% more energy efficient.
And we're talking about Ethereum is using the same amount of energy as Argentina. So this is not like a small amount of energy, right? So the impact of upgrading this system is huge. I mean, it literally, it like almost wiped out 1% of the world's energy use, which seems tiny, but is actually huge.
It's massive. It's massive, but it really is. So much has to be discussed and worked together because it's beyond the internet. When we think about what internet was to what it is today, and you guys did a lot of going back to, remember those big, computers to what we have now. Now we're walking around with everything on a phone. We've gone so far, and so it's not far away with what's going on now. With crypto, I think you had a really good point in there showing how it really stands for freedom, but freedom is always attacked, whether it's freedom for artists using it, freedom in war for people that, like in Ukraine, and just freedom for individuals, like even just in money with the way banks are, because they suck with what they're doing to humans, quite frankly. And they're the ones controlling oil. It's really the banks behind what's going on in oil and fossil fuels. And don't get me started. That's a whole other conversation. but it's true, so I think it brings across freedom and unity. And that's really what he wanted at the beginning of it all. But we're humans.
Yeah, at his heart, this is a human story. And I hope people who, like you said, are maybe afraid of complex technology, and we don't use big terms in this film. This follows Vitalik, a real person, and it's really through him, this lens, that you're able to understand at least a little bit about what his motivations are and what this community's motivation is.
Chris, how did you find out about him? When he was on Time magazine, or how did you first find out about him?
Yeah, so we were actually making another feature documentary in the crypto space that was called This Is Not Financial Advice. And we were trying to understand the world of crypto speculation and crypto gambling that we were seeing coming up, in so many communities. And so we met Vitalik, and we did an interview with him, and we immediately realized, oh my God, there's such this quirky genius has a whole different story here to go into. And, we learned the story about when he was 7 years old, he actually created what he calls the Encyclopedia of Bunnies. And this is in the film, where he built this 100+ page manifesto called the Encyclopedia of Bunnies, where it's a whole world building scenario about, the currencies that these bunnies have, how they travel at the speed of light. And it's full of graphs and all these things. And this is an incredible creation for a 7-year-old's mind.
It's insane.
Right? And I think hearing that story, we just had to spend more time with this individual and understand, his vision and his growth. And we just started following. And I think that's what documentary is at its core, is you don't know the story when you begin, right? You're following, you're asking a lot of questions. And we began with those questions and thankfully, Vitalik allowed us to be with him for over 2 years. We got to spend a lot of time with his family, spend a lot of time with a lot of the key people who were there when Ethereum was founded and are also still working to build and improve this technology. And we're just incredibly thankful to have had the opportunity.
It's awesome. Thank you guys so much. And he really puts a different spin on what infrastructure is and how, it can really be something that's long lasting. Thank you both so much for doing such an awesome documentary and opening our minds. And everyone, again, it is out April 15th today as it airs on video on demand all through Gravitas. So thank you both so much. Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio. Keep up with our shows at bigblendradio.com.